To be fair,
we're back.
Lois is nowhere near that.
I've been watching that too much. Hi, you just caught the end of a conversation, but we're back. Yeah. We're here.
I love it. It's like the running joke was, ask me about my tragic backstory. And we're just talking about the backstory of every other character during the intro movie.
Actually, Aeon, do you want to explain, like, what was the To Be Fair about?
Oh, it just more... To be fair, the next character who's going to be replacing Sidney does not have a tragic backstory. She's just...
Yet.
She's a science nerd.
There's still time. We could add the tragedy.
There's absolutely time.
Roll 1d6, add tragedy.
Yeah, depending on... The 6 is most tragic. Some straight up...
No, the 6 is least with my luck.
Shall we have that as a donation?
As a donation, you can add to your favorite character's tragic backstory by adding one of
these.
For every time you donate, I'll kill another one of Tatiana's parents. She'll have a lot of them. It's fine.
There you go.
There'll be different ways to kill Tatiana's parents. It's like the Joker. You never know which one's the actual one that she's actually going to use.
I will say, if you do like a shorter, more pulp style, you have donations for insanities. I think that might be it. Donations for insanity and instant insanity.
That's going to make your keeper insane.
Well, shorter game. It might make some money. Is that bad? Maybe? Oh no. Anyway, welcome in.
That's what we get up to in the pre-show, by the way.
Yeah. A lot of talk about bits and pieces, about everything. This is our third episode of Master Nyarlathotep. We do have a prequel as well from our Peruvian expedition, which drove some of us insane and actually somehow made us saner for a couple of us. That kind of worked out really weird. But welcome on in. We have Syrinscape in the background as per always. Syrinscape are amazing. They even have the full Master Nyarlathotep set out for us in their audio tracks, and this is a mega campaign, so that's a big job for them to do. Also, I'll be touching on both the sci-fi and the fantasy, depending on what we need for them, what audio, what moods we'll need to set. We have Lovecraft or LoveMaps Cthulhu doing the that have done the maps and provided to us for free charge. They're not a sponsor, but thank you so much, LoveMaps Cthulhu. Love their maps. It's essentially what you get in the books, but set up and gridded up properly for a virtual tabletop system. So for Roll20, which is what we use, but you could also use it for the other virtual tabletop systems out there. There's other stuff there like donations. You can help us out by donating or subscribing to the channel. Every $1 donation to nominated person gives that person a D6 luck. If you subscribe to the channel, everybody gets a choice between D6 luck or D6 sanity. If you gift subscribe, everybody gets the choice between D6 luck, D6 sanity, or a experience tick, which for those really low skills are very hard to come by. So, but we also need to survive it until the next time we actually get experience, which aren't always like they're not at every session like you'd normally get for most games. We've also got consent forms and all the safety practices here, which I never mentioned, but our keeper does, just so we don't go past everybody's boundaries, and just putting it out there that HP Lovecraft was a racist piece of shit. So just wanted to put that out there. And the audio for the movie was done by Lorian Ross. So check him out at Lorian Ross on SoundCloud or on our shows. He'll be here tomorrow, actually. Yeah. I think that's about everything.
Well, you haven't mentioned YouTube.
Yeah, we've got YouTube.
Yeah.
So all our previous episodes are up on YouTube. So all of our role-playing stuff goes onto YouTube about 24 hours, about 40 hours after they go live. Like, subscribe, all the bits and pieces there. We do have a back color. We've been here for about 3.5 years. I apologize for the early stuff. I apologize for the look of the early stuff. We've come a long way, but the role-playing's still solid and the games are still funny. Just the look is horrible. I'm sorry. That's about it then. Yes, we're good.
We are now. Love Maps actually has a Patreon, and we actually use one of their Patreon maps tonight. Maybe.
Ooh.
It's well, you'll find out soon. Maybe.
Funeral parlor where we all like for someone's death. Maybe.
No.
No.
Not yet.
Okay, not yet.
Not yet.
Yet. Always
City
good.
again.
Are we all going to jail already? We haven't even done anything yet.
Right? We've not even committed a full murder yet this arc.
Then why are we going to the police station? That's what I'm curious about. Either way,
I
let's go.
thought we wanted information about our friend's murder, but I
Anyway,
might be
our
misremembering
characters are.
Intros. Eon.
that. Hello, my name's Eon, and I am playing Sidney Tyson, archaeologist turned mob boss. Still not entirely sure how that happened, but apparently it did over 5 years. And yes, she's not doing very well after her friend got killed in her city, despite every precaution she could take. So you'll be seeing a very interesting person who's not mentally doing all that well yet. And we haven't even gotten into losing sanity.
Of which you have the least.
Oh yes! She's
Really?
already the craziest in the group. It's a good start.
No, actually.
What?
Who has lower than me?
Someone has less sanity than Sidney.
Wow.
How?
Bad
Well-
dice rolls.
We all just start looking at each other like,
Is that
Who?
Alejandro? I'm so
Like,
sorry if it is. Good.
Now the guy that's
If it
good
helps,
with
I have
guns-
51, so the person can be a little bit worried or not.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were a lot worse than that.
I thought you were a lot worse than that too.
Oh no, it's the luck. The luck is the horrible bit.
Oh, my luck is 7.
Okay.
Actually, how about you also announce your luck as
Sure.
well? So you actually, because if people, we don't have a luck counter on screen yet, so yeah, hopefully donate, give these people luck so I can make them more crazy or sanity.
That doesn't work.
Yeah,
The-
Sydney
the-
is down to 7 luck. She has spent all of her second chances, basically.
Phoenix.
Hi, I'm Phoenix. I am.
yeah! Instant. They said pity on you, pity on your family.
Neurocrog,
Thank
thank
you,
you for the
Neuro.
subscription. It's actually you subscribing, not gifting a subscription. But we appreciate you so much. Well, before we get to Phoenix, then, Aeon, do your roll.
Is it
Thank
Eon,
you
is
very
it?
much, Neurocroc.
And we'll do that as part of the intros as well. Thank you, Neurocock. I was just typing a welcoming message to you.
Ha-ha!
Ooh.
I actually got 5 luck back. That is an almost 50%. That is more than a 50% increase.
Okay, Phoenix.
Okay, I think I'm Phoenix, and I am playing Alejandro Garcia, our shipping mogul who moonlights as a safari expedition guide person, and is, running around this city having second thoughts about all of it right now. He's more sane than not. He's got 54 sanity. My luck is at 41, so I'm still doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Do you want to do your roll then?
It wasn't a gifted, it was a normal sub.
Yeah, normal sub goes for luck or
I thought it was for one nominated player.
for
A normal
everybody.
sub. Gifted's I thought gifted subs.
Gifted gives the option for all three.
Okay,
for
so
all-
I'll
for
adjust
everybody.
mine.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
I'll take my 2 luck to bring me up to 43 luck.
Ooh, big spender now.
And
Oh no!
the following. Don't get scared. Thank you for
That always scares me.
Alarana, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Goblin Cave family. Where we're going to go insane or die. Or die then go insane. Either way, what fun.
Bit of both, little A, little B.
And as opposed to Alejandro, who moonlights and as the expedition leader or expedition guard. Hi, my name is Karsh Goblin. I play Sergeant Jack Hunt, who is an expedition guard. That is his business model. That is his business these days. Though he doesn't really have any income from his business. He doesn't know how to do like accountancy and stuff like that. So he's still pretty much broke, even with a successful company. Yeah, I have 48 luck, but I think I'll actually roll for luck on this one because my sanity is way too high.
That's a challenge to the keeper.
I know it's a challenge to the keeper, but it's hard to fail a 90 for sanity rolls.
I mean, all you need is the guaranteed losses. That's the whole thing.
Yes. But remember, my character is too annoying to have people to actually say, hey, can you read this tome and see if that makes up your head? People don't do that to me because I'm too annoying. Thank you.
I mean, Sidney's already got a plan for that, but that's side note. We need you to actually get us information, since you're too sane.
And we have an anonymous gift sub going to Dr. Oblon as well, who is in our show for Guard's Tale.
Yay!
So we'll deal with that after the first D6s. Caitlin.
What's up? I'm Kat. I am your nurse, now come doctor graduate, Aveline Baker. It's nice to be back with you this week. It's been just a nightmare getting the bloodstains out of my gloves, and seeing our poor dear friend murderized. Not necessarily a fan of that. In fact, I hate it. So there we are. Let me roll you some D6s.
We'll just do the first one.
Just do the first one.
All right, let me get
So
to the
what
first.
are you rolling? Luck or sanity?
I'm putting it all up in my sanity.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm adding 4 in, bringing my sanity up to a sweet. I went from 69, nice, and I'm going up to 73 sanity. I know, I was tempted to keep it. I was tempted close. I know. I really. Here's the thing. I needed it though.
Yep. And Molgars.
Hello, I am Molly, or Molgars, and I am playing Tatiana Petrovna, a Russian ballerina who is hiding from the Boston mob after fleeing with the mob boss's daughter. They have been living in New York City for the past 5 years in marital bliss, and now she is only at 34 luck and 75 sanity, so I'm going to take the luck.
There you go. It's a big jump. But it's easy to spend that much.
Oh, yeah.
And lastly, our keeper.
Oh, yeah. Do I get to roll a d6 just to futz around with you guys?
I mean,
No.
technically,
No.
you're the keeper.
No.
Bro. That's alright. Hello, I am MrLiveProducer. I am your keeper for this evening, and yeah, it's definitely been interesting playing this game. Even running this game is like, oh yeah, let's do this. And going, okay, let's do this. Alright. half of keeping is improv.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
90% of keeping is improv.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree there. So, before we start, what do you want? Would you like to do the last D6? We just got the gift of sub?
It's a luck, sanity, or a tick. So, do it now. I'm finding something to tick, actually.
I am improving luck.
And back to Eon's rolls.
Accounting is tempting.
It doesn't matter. I have 13 luck. I'm at the best I can be.
I'm improving my luck again.
So, while accounting is tempting, I'm putting it into archaeology.
You should do that. You won't have an archaeologist after New York.
Well, I thought I had more than 10.
Well, I am taking a tick in Intimidate.
Ooh.
That is a good call.
Hmm. Although, yeah, I can deal with that usually. And Caitlin, you're the last one, I think.
I'm gonna take a tick as well, and I think I'm gonna take the tick in either probably swim or throw.
Probably throw.
Yeah, I'm thinking throw too.
I don't think there's many pools in Egypt.
You know, I don't think so either. And
No, there is boat travel.
We do enjoy a nice Molotov cocktail in this fun little group. But I think maybe having a good throw could be useful. Who knows?
I was thinking needles. I forgot about the Molotov cocktails for this group.
Them too. Really anything.
Once we go back across the pond, we can start looking at getting some pineapple grenades and stick grenades.
There you go.
I mean, if you really need grenades, you can go and talk to the 2 bomb makers that Sidney has employed.
Yeah, but...
I think this is the first time like a lot of people chose ticks rather than just the instant. We think we're going to survive.
I'm hoping.
Oh, I know Sidney's not, so it's all good.
You poor unfortunate souls.
Well, Keeper, start your monologue.
Ah, yep. All right. All right. The date is January 16th, 1925. Jackson Elias is dead. Our investigators, having discovered Elias's body the night before at the room 401 at the Hotel Chelsea, managed to subdue the killers after investigating the room, turned over 2 of the assailants to the police to help with their inquiries. Joined by Tatiana Petrovna after the killing with some questions of her own, she leaves her partner Renee with Millie Adams. Unfortunately, Millie Adams' husband, Hilton Adams, has a link to the case where they find out after meeting Millie at City Hall. While at the steps of City Hall, Lieutenant Martin Poole of the police requests a moment of their time. So currently you're at the moment at the steps of City Hall. A junior detective has come around and is ushering you to the police station that's around there.
Oh, it looks like we're going to the station.
Yes, we are.
All right.
I do hope this isn't going to be much legal trouble. I would prefer to keep my green card, if you catch my meaning.
Oh, absolutely. Look, this man in charge of Jackson's death, I have a feeling that he wishes to talk to us because he wishes to know what we know in regards to the unfortunate demise of our friend.
I'm just saying we should be prepared to run if it comes to it.
Oh, absolutely, we should be. And also, I do have a lawyer on speed dial. Or, I have a lawyer on contact, so we can at least have that help. No, that is Eon misspeaking. Sidney does not know what speed dial is. Speed dial is hoping that one of my people,
It's when you tap the receiver really, really fast to get the operator.
Oh, yes,
So-
I do that sometimes, yes.
Emmett just chimes in and says, I thought that's when you have a person named Speed and they really dial the phone for you and then hand you the phone.
I don't tend to I don't know anybody who names themselves Speed willingly.
I used to know a boxer called Speed. Or Speedy.
Yes, that's what I mean, like, just Speed. Like, I've never...
Regardless, you make your way to the police station. Don't need to go to this map. And you'll meet you don't need to do the map. This is the new map if you wanted to use it. This is one of the Patreon maps. Actually, go to the map just to show, because this is the amount of work that goes into some of these maps that this Love Maps do.
They're so good every time.
Mm-hmm.
This place class. There we go.
There we go. And You're meted at the front by a beat cop who takes you to the room for Lieutenant Martin Poole. It's a very nice room. Okay, so middle right if you want to find yourself back on the map. Okay, so in front of you, I'll actually bring up a portrait handout for you.
Ooh.
I know. It's like this big mega campaign has a lot of portrait handouts.
Ah, we love a portrait. He looks like
How
a
important is this
hard-boiled-
character? Let me check if they have a portrait.
Yeah. This guy looks like a hard-boiled cop straight from the streets, like a
heavy-
beat cop.
In front of the behind the table, you see a heavy-set man. The muscles of his youth turning to fat, like technically, but typical New York police detective. Dark complexion and brown hair, which he wears his hair slicked back. His suits are neat and well kept, but fit him poorly due to recent weight gain.
I have a really horrible thing that I don't want to ask, but is very important to my character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know Lieutenant Poole. Like, is he one of the people who's either looking for me or on my payroll?
He's a homicide detective. So
I don't do a lot of killing. Does that
exactly.
help?
What would he have to? What would you think he would have to roll to see if he can identify you?
Law, credit rating, maybe education, just because that, like,
No.
even if I don't do a lot of murdering, it's technically part of his job.
Okay. Well. I'm doing this as a
I was more
secret
going, like,
roll.
what do I have to roll to know if I'm in hot water going into this person's office before this? That's what I was more checking, is like, Sidney's not going to willingly, like, walk into the lion's den and be like, I barbecued myself and marinated myself before I walked in here.
I would say law.
Really? Uh-oh. I have no law investments, so...
Gee, I wonder why.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a cop. Why would I have law?
And suppose.
Oh, shocking!
You want to spend 55? Oh, wait.
Even if I had 55 luck, I wouldn't spend it.
Awkward.
So, I don't have the wig, but at least I have the backup costume if I need.
Now, a tech question. Did Stream see what Martin Poole roll? Because I did that as a keeper roll.
No, I didn't see it.
Okay. Yeah. You're gonna have fun with that one. Alright. Lieutenant Martin Poole looks up from the table and cocks an eyebrow and looks directly at you, Sidney.
Hello,
Well.
have we met?
No, but I do know of you.
Yes,
Surprising-
I'm on a TV show.
Amongst many other things. But that is not the reason why you're here today, but I don't know if it takes balls of steel to walk into a police agency with what you are, no one else noticing, or you just don't care. Either way, you're not here under questioning for that.
I mean, to be fair, whenever every single police officer on the way here is pointing me to come and talk to you, I'm assuming that you're not here because you think I've done something wrong.
Yet.
You have wonderful manners for somebody who's investigating the death of a close friend, so I'm going to assume that's why you called me here, due to the fact that I was asked to walk in the door.
Well, we asked the junior officer who was on scene to get the names and descriptions of everyone who was at the location, and you didn't really make yourself too hidden for this. So, if you were
No, I was
really
visiting a friend.
yes,
Why would I hide that I'm visiting a friend?
who was killed in a ritualistic way that we already thought we put the murderer behind bars.
I've yet to see what I've done wrong in this situation because all I'm hearing is more examples of the police not doing their job, or at least not knowing there was potentially more than one killer. And either way, my friend is still dead, and I am getting very rude comments from you.
All right, any rolls that you make are going to be disadvantage.
Cool.
Well, that's all.
Sidney's not doing anything, but...
You're pissing off a cop in the police station. That's probably not a good idea.
Jack goes
Oh,
over.
probably not.
Jack goes over the table and reaches over and says, "Hi, just ignore Sidney. Sergeant Jack Hunt." And extends my hand for a shake.
There is something I need.
It's like turned into the most awkward game of Clue. Like we're all being investigated for not even a murder we committed, but just a murder period, and we're all like, "You good? I'm good. You good along? No? Oh, that's crazy."
I mean, Sidney's, option is, looking kind of around for a telephone just to get in contact with a lawyer saying, okay, how much paperwork can I bury this guy under now?
Jack, I'll get you to roll me a persuade or a fast talk, please.
Keeper, I have kind of just a weird question. If Sidney was to say, you both don't like me, so I'm sure you'll get along famously, would that give him a bonus die?
You don't know.
Okay, then I won't say anything.
I'm just checking my fast talk, that's all. I don't think I've got anything in it, but it's always nice to check.
Mm-hmm. I'll say it'd be more persuade than fast talk.
I thought it'd be more psychology, but yeah.
That looks about right. I was really on target.
It looks at your hand, looks at you, says, "Did your parents not like you when you were born?"
Darn.
Wow, you're not a very nice person, are you? Here a
No, I'm
man
not.
extends a hand in friendship and tries to break up and says just to ignore this animosity going on. And you're now insulting me?
Yes, I am. Because I have dead bodies linked to a murderer who is already in jail. I had 2 people brought in who Captain Robson pulled rank to pull away from me. So I have no leads, nothing. I send for the people who saw Mr. Elias's dead body, and I find out one of them is a known felon.
No, I am not a known felon. A felon means that I have been incriminated or put in jail. I have not. I have not been convicted in a court of law, and you are now slandering me.
Sidney, what have you been doing for the last 5 years?
I've been running a business. I'm an antique shop owner. I'm an archaeologist and an antique shop owner whose name got put onto one of the biggest papers in the Archaeological Society for the last century, and when I come in here, finding out that my friend has been murdered, this man starts slandering me and being rude. Now, if you actually wanted a witness statement, you could have started with any of that, but instead, you decided to be rude to me and my friends, and especially to somebody who literally walked up to you and asked for a handshake. So, excuse me, officer, but I would like to know where you get off on this, and just because you're having a bad day and you're having politics problems with another police officer does not make it our fault.
You done?
Yeah,
Are you done?
Sydney, I'm
Sydney
rude
is
to you.
done.
Quiet. Are you done?
Depends.
Are you done? Yes or no?
Sure.
Thank you. Sit down. Shut up. If I want
Is
to
there
hear
a
from
phone
you,
in
I
his
will talk
office?
to you. Shut up. If I want to talk to you, I will talk to you. Sit down. Now, is anyone here actually going to answer my questions and not be an asshole?
Tatiana kind of like lifts her head up and says, I can help. I don't know everything that happened that night, but I did witness some of it, and I am familiar with the Hilton Adams case. So it is in my interest anyway. What do you want to know?
What did you see? How many assailants were there?
I'm not sure. I was given the impression that they may have escaped. I came in a little late, but I will tell you there were at least what, 3? 5? Somewhere in there. I saw something gruesome. Jackson, the symbols they carved, it was clearly not the kind of thing that one could do without a deep knowledge of the symbology and the occult. And I think, if nothing else, it indicates that, well, perhaps you have the wrong men in jail currently.
All right. I remember you, Tatiana. Actually, no. Your cover name was what?
The cover name was Natasha Smirnoff.
Okay, that's right. I remember you, Natasha. I'm going to tell you this. This has been the 9th murder victim of this kind in the last 2 years.
How long
No
has
apparent
it-
connection.
Oh,
No
how
apparent
long-
connections. All poor. Not poor, wealthy, middle class, black, white, and all over the city. All the victims had the same. Try not to swear. Mark on their forehead. Robinson brought in Hilton Adams and got a promotion for saving this. And now this stuff is on me because I did the legwork, he took the credit. And now Robinson's breathing down my neck to do this shit. And Sydney?
Sydney raises a hand, just like in all honesty, because she's confused about something that's just sitting here, that's sitting off for her. If you don't mind me asking, he's Harlem, correct?
Yes.
So, forgive me because my understanding of the New York police precincts is very limited. But how does a Harlem police captain get off giving a Chelsea police detective orders? That's not his jurisdiction. What's your captain doing about him ordering you?
I need to check on a skill for a second. Give me a fast talk.
Oh dear. You like taking the skills I'm not invested in. This is not a fast talk, this is honest confusion.
I don't think there is a skill set for honest confusion.
Well, I was more going, like, that's an actual logical argument, I thought. Because there's the... Like, wouldn't that be more persuade than fast talk? She's not expecting him to go, wait a minute, you lied to me a couple seconds later. She's going, What's
Okay,
your boss doing with another boss?
I'll let you have persuade.
Okay. That's a success.
He raises his fingers and does this universal symbol for money.
Listen, Lieutenant Poole, if I may, you seem like the kind of man who cares about justice being done, the kind of cop that you want on the streets of New York City. And it seems like you've done a lot of work on this case, only to have it swiped from under you. Maybe there is a way we work together here. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you like I do, have a weird feeling about this, a wrong feeling, that the man in jail is perhaps not the man who did the crime, which means that the people out there who are doing this, the person or people, they are not going to be brought to justice, and that seems like something that would bother you.
It does a touch. Motions to... He raises his voice and says, with the cops and detectives under my control, they haven't been able to find anything at the scene of the crime. So we don't have any evidence that links it somewhere else. So, unfortunately, unless I get hard evidence, I cannot reopen the case, which needs to be done. I am sorry that your friend is dead. I'm sorry it was done in Chelsea. But at least it was done here, where people who actually know to do their jobs does that louder to carry over the noise in the room. In any case, Sidney, he did get off on the wrong foot, and I apologize for my candor.
I also apologize for my hostility, sir. I
understand that being in a police station isn't exactly where you want to be.
It was
and we
more
can
of the...
probably put our differences aside.
I would prefer that,
to
sir.
find out your murderer. Mr. Jackson's murderer is the more important thing of this. As much as what you do not leave bodies in your wake. This is more dangerous than whatever you get up to.
I was going to say, sir, not necessarily for me, but if others did find, either due to... Jackson was... The thing I can tell you that might be helpful to you is I think Jackson expected that someone was going to try and take his life when he was in New York. Because he called all of us from our daily lives with a mention, just a telegram of he thought he was in trouble.
Do you show him the telegram?
If I have it, yes.
I still have it.
I would assume you would all have the telegram at the moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And basically she would hand that and say, now, Jackson, regardless of whatever he was up to that got him into trouble, because I'm going to be honest, the man was... he was good at keeping secrets. But he also is very smart. If he had, like... For example, if he knew who was after him and he has dead mail that he sends out to us because he expected to be killed, would that be something you would like to see and that you could potentially use as evidence to catch his killers?
Takes a moment, has a look over the page. I can't really see anything on this that could assume that he knew he was going to die. He just, from reading this, it sounds like he was just asking you to come around to potentially do a job. But this actually helps you. It gives you a reason to be in the room.
Yes, we had shown the officers that were at the scene whenever we called them. We had gone up to the room because we knew Jackson tended to be late, and we were... Some of us have work in the following morning and didn't want to be didn't want to be out until the wee hours of the morning catching up with an old friend, so we went up to check because we were there for just meeting a friend. And we walked in on... well, you saw, I'm assuming, if you investigated the scene.
I was called back from London. Alejandro was like, he came back from Egypt. I mean, we all came back from our lives because the message seemed to be so strange. 5 years of no contact and then something's happening.
But even if the telegram doesn't help for evidence, the other point does that stand if we get dead mail that says it's from Jackson saying, oh no, I think this person was out for my life. Would you at least like to see it?
Any pertinent information?
Absolutely. This is not an attempt to do anything more than know what would you like from us, because would personally like to avoid stepping on police toes and getting them annoyed at me. I have an antique shop. I have a couple of friends that are still alive that I'd like to make sure stay alive and unmolested by the police. I want to go about to my life and make sure that Jackson's killer is brought to justice. That is the only really two goals I have, Lieutenant.
Nods. Looks at the Miss Baker. You investigated the body on the scene.
I did, in fact, act as his coroner at that point. Yes. Unfortunately, by the time we arrived, he was already bereft of life. It seems that the markings were done post-mortem.
I can vouch that Miss Baker's medical skills were enough to keep us alive in the jungles of Peru, where there are a number of poisonous and other kind of threats. I do trust that alongside her doctorate, we have seen practical evidence of her skills.
Keep a question.
Yeah.
Has Aveline Baker actually started calling herself Dr. Baker? Or
You
she's...
bet. I was going to correct
Yeah.
him, and that was going to be the next thing I did. But I was just going to wait until he says it again. I was going to get him.
I was going to mention that Nursey, I've seen Nursey's skills back in the war as well. Back
There you
in
go.
Egypt.
I just changed your username, your name in your sheet.
Thank you very much. Was it? Oh, there it is. Dr. Aveline Baker.
I'm not changing the overlay.
No,
No, you shouldn't. It's for me. I worked so hard to get my fantasy doctorate. Let me have it.
Yep, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
She did work hard. Like, Sidney just made sure that people were willing to give her a chance. Sidney didn't pay for anything more than, hey, go to this school that will actually give you a doctorate if you pass the exams. That was the
Makes
end
sense.
of her involvement. She was busy with other things.
You succeeded that medicine check, didn't you, as well?
I did.
At that time.
I
All right,
did.
you would have. I'm just trying to see if there's.
If I remember correctly, we said the cause of death was it was either strangulation or he had his throat cut. I can't remember.
I think throat cut because of the...
I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
it
it
was
was throat
throat cut.
Yeah,
Actually, made a note of that. Actually, do take notes.
I did take notes. My notes are just far away from me because my cat is laying on them. So
Sidney would have had a notepad of everything that she thought of, like remembered from the scene, assuming that since Emmett called the police, that she'd have to give a police statement at some point. So if Pool's not going to get mad at her, she would reach into her coat and, like, two-fingered style, make sure he could see the little notepad of what she thought, of what she remembered seeing.
Okay, do you leave that with
She'll leave the sheet with it, because she can't remember what's on the notepad.
Yeah. Alright, so...
she doesn't want to accidentally incriminate herself to the bloody police.
If you left the whole book, I was going to make you roll a luck check.
I know.
Hard
No,
luck.
Sidney...
Oh, it was
Sidney
going to be
basically
extreme
just-
hard check.
So I need
I would
a
also-
1 regardless. Like, we've already established I need a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sidney
I'm the
would
keeper, I'm
basically
not
rip
your
off the
friend.
sheet. I know. Sidney rips off the sheet going, "Forgive the handwriting, but that's all that I could remember at the time for what we saw. Whenever our friend called the police, I did not trust my memory, in all honesty, and I figured that if, depending on how busy it is New York. But I didn't know how long it would take until the police got in contact with us, so I wanted to make sure that I had as accurate a recollection of my statement as I could."
And Emmett, didn't you recall something about the strange things they had around their heads?
Yes. They had what's the best way to describe it?
Tongues.
Red pieces of well, not tongues per se. Red pieces of cloth hanging down in front of the face to represent tongues. At that point, Mr. Robertson, sorry, not Robertson,
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Poole raises an eyebrow, and I'm going to have to get
And thank you for the raid, brothers and
thank
in
you,
dungeons.
raid.
We're in the police station.
We haven't done anything wrong, though. We're witnesses in this case. So it's the better reason to be in a police station.
Yet. I will say that Aveline would also mention that it was the cause of death was the fact that the dude Jackson got his throat slit, and if I remember correctly, he was still pretty fresh. Like he wasn't this wasn't something that had happened for a while. Like this was a pretty recent development.
Yeah, very recent.
Yeah.
The body was still warm when you went to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, this is an Eon question. The background noise of this is typewriters, right? I'm
Yes.
not going
Yes.
crazy
Yes.
and I'm not
No,
hearing...
no.
Okay, I just heard the typing and I'm looking over and I'm double-checking nobody's typing and I just wanted to make sure that I'm
This
like...
is me.
You actually have a typewriter in your room? I love this.
I
This
don't
just
have
so
a
I can add
typewriter, I
this.
just have... one of my keyboards sounds very much like a typewriter.
I
I
still
don't have
love this.
typewriters. I don't have a typewriter mostly because I currently can't afford one.
And there's phone calls as well in the background noise.
You
yes.
considered.
Yeah, I
doing
heard like the
mod?
phone calls and I figured that was the background noise, but it was just the sudden and I was like, I'm not going like Eon's not going crazy, right? Sydney's long gone.
There's actually about a dozen different sounds going on.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
and that's the whole thing. Sorry. Anyway, apologies for taking away from the narrative.
That's all right. It gives me time to check on stuff check on pull stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. The knowledge about like the tongues. Apparently, like there's a group of people that's like they would have been like the younger initiatives of the gang or the group, because the older ones would have like a leather strap instead, and like the leaders would have like an actual tongue hanging down. I think that was like the information you were saying they record about the weird group which they may have belonged
Yes.
to. And if
Up to it would become more elaborate up to the point that it became an actual
actual
if
tongue,
yeah. But the idea being is that it was meant to mimic a tongue, and that Emmett had found this in an occult book in his library.
And with our friend being a writer of occults and investigating his next book on occults, then it looks like maybe this gang might have gotten may have gotten too close to them. So the other person that was arrested, if they didn't have like one of those tongues or fake tongues, might not be the right person. I don't know. I mean, I'm just a soldier from the war.
Quick
You can
question.
actually see Lieutenant Poole was actually sitting there going with actually pretty much doing what I was doing, hands clasped together, thinking, and
Is the door behind us closed?
the door behind you is open at the moment.
Sydney's gonna look at it, and is there anybody kind of standing near enough the door? Because I think Sydney got told to go sit down and shut up, so she's like at the freaking front of the desk, right? Go. Lieutenant Poole, if this is potentially a sensitive topic, would you be comfortable with us closing the door as we talk with you?
Nods silently.
And actually, one thing Sydney might do is that she'd like two-fingered pull out her gun to put it on his desk. I am a nod.
Can I roll a psychology to see how that was received?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
watching the same thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sydney's going, this person is sadly our best ally, and he hates her.
Just for the sake
You
of
guys
rolling.
are all 1 minute. Give me a second.
We're not terrible. We just are not
I am
passing.
Excuse my hard success. Aveline's just been in the back, just looking at the different interactions playing across the room.
Alejandro's sitting there just rubbing his head at this point, just shaking it again.
Look, Sydney is in a fiefdom kingdom, and she has a rival king. She's in like a city of fiefdom kingdoms, and she owns one of those rival kingdoms. She is talking to the highest ranked person she can in a rival kingdom. She is trying to be nice.
Does anyone get up to actually close the door?
Alejandro will turn and shut the door.
Aveline's sitting on the couch.
just
Don't mind
shaking
me.
his
I'm
head.
I'm sitting on the bench, coach. Sitting on the bench. Just taking it in, sitting on the bench.
Yes, doors closed.
So was this a terrible move for Sydney to basically disarm herself? Did she offend the police officer?
Sydney, you know, if like he shoots you with your own gun, I might not see anything.
I wouldn't expect you to, Jack.
Just
I would expect all of
putting
you
it
in
out
the room
there.
to. I would expect all of you in the room to agree with what the police officer said, and just to let Lois and my other associates know.
He doesn't make a move for the gun.
Like, Sydney's doing
It's-
everything very carefully to try and avoid saying, like, I am a threat right now.
Okay.
That is also her legal gun. Like, that is a registered firearm.
Aveline's just sitting on the
But she
couch,
has a license.
just like this, like legs crossed, leaning on it, like clocking this interaction.
Just waiting for
Okay.
Sydney to be shot.
I mean,
Okay.
as
With that
well.
hard success, it was a form of. Lieutenant Martinpool apologized.
Mhm.
Knew that whatever's going on between them is bigger than what the animosity is between them. And as much as they don't like each other, they're going to work. They will work together to a point.
Yes.
Putting the gun down was a form of trust from Sidney,
Mhm.
and he's taken it as such.
Yes.
However, he also looked at the gun and was tempted to take it for evidence, but decided against it.
I mean, he could. It doesn't link back to anything, but he could.
If it was more of a that failure on that law roll is him this could answer some problems and it could help my career, but no, and not doing it that way because it's trust, and that's what you're building right now.
Yep.
Really trust fall.
Doesn't actually say anything.
Sidney
Right,
has
so
no
the-
idea about this whole interaction, by the way.
Yeah.
This is Eon amused by it in the
Yeah.
background. Sidney
Eon
has
is
no
definitely-
effing clue.
While this is going on, Emmett, would you be able to rip the pages out of the book about that group for the lieutenant here?
Why would you deface the book instead of just loaning it to him?
Well, it would be help for, well, I wouldn't say evidence, but help for the case.
Right, but you can take a book back.
You don't. Emmett just grabs the book and goes, "No."
Like, Eon is appalled right now, Karsh. I don't know if Karsh would actually suggest doing this, but if he would, I am judging you harshly.
Back in the war, books were just toilet paper if needed.
Yes, but we aren't at war, and I'm sure that if we lend our
Emmett just
pool
says,
of resources, it would be much more easier.
"Mental note: I'm not loaning you books ever."
You are not welcome in my library, dear.
I don't think I ever was.
I will read
You
books to
were
you.
until exactly 30 seconds ago. That does go for the rest of you. The rest of you are allowed in. Just
I will read books to you, but you're not going to touch any of my books.
regardless.
Tatiana
That's-
leans-
Regardless,
Yeah. Sorry. And
you
for
don't
purposes.
actually, with that interaction, Lieutenant Pill doesn't say anything. Just leans forward, writes a question mark on a piece of paper, and slides it to you along with a pen.
Sidney
He
nods
doesn't
and
trust the people. Again, with that psychology as a hard success, he doesn't know who's on what payroll in this place.
Mhm.
He doesn't understand
The dynamic.
how.
Yep.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't understand who is going to be working against him, because he's pretty much going against someone who pretty much bribes and steals.
Molgars?
Yep. No.
No,
That's Sidney's job.
Molgars was going to say something.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
What were you going to say, Molgars?
I mean, I also bribe and steal. I think just Tatiana leans towards the moment's maybe past.
No, do it. I'm just going to retcon stuff.
I think Tatiana just leans towards Sergeant Jack and goes, "I don't get it either. It's just a dead 3."
Does
there's-
Sidney hear that? Because she offered you and your wife to
Roll,
hide in
roll
her
me a
home.
listen check because your
Oh.
attention is distracted by
Don't worry, the answer's no.
Okay. No.
And at least
Oh,
That's what I mean. The answer was no before I rolled, but the answer is definitely no now.
If you're going
let's-
to crit fumble something, that's at least a decent one to crit fumble.
at least dead potatoes can be made into something drinkable. We're not in this damn country.
Totally agree.
Sorry,
Officer-
love your
regardless of
country.
the paper.
Just like drinking, so I can't wait to get back to the UK or
I mean, you
Australia
love the country. I
or
don't care.
Egypt.
I don't care for the country.
You didn't hear
Much
this.
either.
Alright,
But
so-
Sidney would write on the paper basically, for lack of better term for it, I'm not sure how to write this subtly. This is Eon's limited knowledge, not Sidney's. Robson, Harlem payroll. And basically brackets not mine. And pass it back.
Okay, with that.
So many books on the shelf.
While he's thinking, Aveline would ask, Officer Poole, do you have a firm grasp as to what Mr. Elias was researching before his untimely demise.
Sidney would just quietly mention Lieutenant, not officer. If we're going to call Jack Sergeant Hunt, we should be respectful to the detective as Lieutenant Poole.
Well, then I should be Dr. Baker then, so we can all
Absolutely, you should do.
start throwing away our titles.
Doctor?
All titles that have been earned. Yes. It's been a busy 5 years, Jack. I sent you Christmas cards. Did you not get them?
Jack,
Where did you send them?
Jack,
I sent my
you could introduce yourself as President Hunt now.
Oh, that's an idea.
Right?
It'll be a little bit confusing what with the accent in this country.
Yeah, true.
You're still the president. Because it's really hard to say CEO all the time.
Ooh. I'll
Do you
see if I can
actually
get
own the
president.
controlling shares of your company?
Yeah, it's my company. I think.
You might want to ask your accountant if you own the controlling
Again, that
shares.
word, what is this accountant?
That'd be
Your
the person
money
who handles
bag.
the money for your company.
The other alternative, if you want, you could also call yourself Director.
That might work better.
Director Hunt.
I don't know that there's a fancy title for a ballerina.
Prima donna?
A
I'll
prima.
take that.
Isn't it Premier Ballerina?
Mm-hmm.
It is a little bit sad, and maybe this speaks of my talent that you all knew that and I did not.
I think it more speaks to our opportunity to attend the shows as opposed to participate in them.
You're too kind, Sidney.
You're the
I've
one who puts in
seen-
the work on the stage. I just get to sit back and enjoy the show.
It's very true. I've seen things you've done with your ankles that, honestly, I didn't know was possible with the human physiology.
Oh, it's actually really easy. All you have to do is dislocate them a little bit, and then you can pop them right back in when you're done. It's a totally painful process, but very worth it. Looks great on stage.
At this whole conversation, Petrovna was just going,
In the back of the office. The conversation in the back of the office when two at the desk.
writes on the piece of paper, someone's payroll. Don't know who. Potentially related.
Sidney would then write in, just for the question mark, ritualistic killing, cult, question mark, potential money there.
Question mark, will investigate.
In bracket,
then takes-
pages
takes
of
the-
a book.
Yeah. Sidney would
Takes-
offer a lighter, if he wants.
Takes paper, lights it, and burns it in the empty garbage bin. And empties the remains of the cold tea from the morning over it to smolder it.
See, that's the efficient way of dealing with paper.
It is.
Turn into Emmett.
Grasps the book even tighter.
I will say the paper was
Can
more
Sidney look at
entertaining
the
when it was
tea
on
and then look
fire.
at Cat? Oh, sorry. I did not mean to interrupt you, Molgars.
You're good. I will say the paper was more entertaining when it was on fire.
The light is very pretty that way, but I do prefer it in the form of the book. I can read it multiple times. I can only burn something once.
Depends how much
Miss
fuel you put
Dr.
on it.
Baker, this is just a side note for it, but do you have any highly caffeinated teas stock at your shop for afterwards? I just realized with Lieutenant pouring out that I'm going to need to buy some from you.
I do keep a variety of strengths back at the shop.
Do you have any, for lack of a better term, industrial strength, in the same way we would say whether you're removing nail polish or removing paint from a wall, that the one that removes the paint from the wall is industrial?
You do know that part of my company's shipping is coca and coffee, correct? That
I
is a
do.
primary export from Peru that we do a lot of business in.
I do know. I also know between the two of you who needs the money more.
I'm but a small local business owner.
Actually, with that being said, Dr. Hector, if you need supplies, you should just ask me.
I love how we're doing semi-business deals now. Like, Sydney's conversation was not even meant to bribe. It was literally her thought process of, I'm going to need caffeine. There's cold tea.
I do have a shipment in port right now that I could bring over.
I mean, I would love to buy from a friend.
You don't need to worry about it. You're a small shop. It wouldn't even affect the supplies.
I'm sorry, this is business deals in front of the police officer.
I mean, we're not even really doing deals. This is just how our group talks. She would actually, Sidney, upon realizing...
I'm sorry, Lieutenant Poole. We haven't seen each other for a good long time.
Yes, he'll pull out a business card and go put it on the table. I am Alejandro Garcia. I own and operate the Ixcal shipping company.
Roll me a credit rating check, please.
Oh, wow, I failed.
You want to spend that
I know.
luck?
That is 9 luck.
You don't have to. It's just more
I'm not going to, not for him just to recognize the name.
No, not to recognize. That's pretty much what it was, to recognize the name. One thing I will... I didn't do this. Reaches into his table and pulls out a manila folder. Reaches past the cocaine. And pulls out a manila folder. It's a thin manila folder. Saying morgue reports onto it. And passes it to Dr. Baker.
Yes. The only thing Sydney's going is like, if you need me out of the room to talk to the rest, you can request that. I would just ask if I could take my gun back. Mostly just so I don't forget it. I have a terrible memory.
I'll start flipping through, like reading the summaries, going through collecting information. We want to call that library, medicine. What you feeling?
I'll say medicine for you.
Let's see. Gonna do some medicine. Go, Dr. Baker, go. 47 out of 71. Success.
Is that close to a heart?
I think I'm off by like another 10.
You're off by 9. You're off by 12 from a heart.
There it is.
No.
There it is. Yeah. Yeah, don't look at me like.
If you want to roll the dice and actually have it tell you which one's difficult, switch your roll on the top from normal to verbose.
Oh,
So regular, hard, extreme, verbose, and that'll give you the entire roll and tells you what ranking is each one in.
It would be.
It's all you see in those notes is that it is a ritualistic killing, mostly of throat cut. Some of them had tongues. Oh, actually, they all had tongues cut out, which lends credence to the fact that it is a cult, but they don't know. Well, cults in this day and age are really much looked at as gangs and other stuff that they're not paid to deal with.
Well, yes, this is quite.
Also,
Yeah.
in the morgue reports, there is also some interviews with the family when they came in to cut the body. They all had the similar thing in common, saying that they were getting involved with strange people after venturing into Harlem to partake of the thriving nightlife.
All right. It seems here that Mr. Jackson was clearly engaging in his usual research. Harlem is the main thing that seems to be what's in common here, other than also the method of death and the mutilations which happened afterwards. It's very intriguing. It seems the nightlife in Harlem is maybe a different type of night as well. More
Tonguey?
esoteric night than anything.
Also, no, you didn't roll hard. I'll keep this for the moment. Okay.
So does that mean we're going to Harlem for some partying?
Well, probably not for partying, but I would also say that it might be... I don't know if Lieutenant Poole can have people watching in Harlem without stepping on toes, so perhaps us wandering around Harlem and enjoying its nightlife might allow us to pass on some information to him.
What is
Speaking of you getting this organized, Lieutenant Martin Poole raises his voice and pretty much says, I want you nowhere near this case.
Absolutely. Agreed, and that is what we want to avoid.
Your friend's funeral tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you saw it in the obituaries.
Nope.
I have not checked. It was a hard morning. I have not checked the newspaper yet, though I do expect that there is probably a message for me at my home.
Alejandro was holding up the newspaper this morning at the hotel. You were all about shipping and business and stuff, and you wouldn't let me look at the tunes.
Well,
Were there cartoons in the 1920s newspapers?
The funny papers.
probably?
I'm just curious, if there was, because I read modern newspapers, but I don't know.
We'll find out in the
when that
break.
came in.
How about everyone in chat try to do your own research and give me a yes or no, and if it's correct, we might give the investigators maybe a D6 or something.
Ooh!
So yeah, Karsh, can I get you to run a poll? Were there cartoons in the 1920s newspapers?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Would
Molly knows the answer to this, actually.
would we be able to pull some names out of there? Would Aveline be able to pull names out of the morgue reports and kind of tuck those away up here for later?
I would say that when you want to recall it, I'll get you to give me a intelligence or a education check because you're trying to recall knowledge.
Okay.
I'll be a bonus dice because it's related to your work field and you're used to reading through these type of papers.
Okay. Should I roll that now or we'll wait?
We'll wait.
Okay. For the appropriate time.
For the appropriate time, we'll get the rolls. In the meantime, though, you would say that Lieutenant Poole says, well, if you have nothing else to let me know about, I would say that we are done here and stay away from this.
I will do my best to be nowhere near this.
Lieutenant Poole, there is one key fact in all of this that you should be aware of, is that there are more. People involved in this.
It does seem to be a bigger group.
You caught, the two we were able to subdue, and you have, there were more in the room. We know there were more people there. We just don't know how many. There are more people than just two in the whole of New York.
I mean, you're not wrong. Yes.
You couldn't have waited until Sidney was out of the room to say that, could you have?
Nope. There's a reason.
So you're telling me I need to buy a wig this Thursday? Is that what you're telling me? Thanks, Phoenix. You could have said you were tired of Sidney, like, in a different way than getting her arrested.
But this tie thing, the tongue that they wear, well, I doubt they wear that normally. But there are more than 2. You should assume there are more running around.
New York is made of over 5 million people at last count.
Yes.
And at this current projected rate, New York is going to go in 2020 to 8 million people. I don't know how they all fit. It might make some more high rises.
Now just build further up.
Outwards. There's a lot of land.
Build into the
making
park.
floating houses.
The point is not the population
that's
of New
only
York.
citywide, yeah.
The point is not the population of New York, but rather the population of this gang/cult. There are more than 2. Meaning that there will be more that happens.
Yes, I'm afraid this is most likely not an open and shut case.
While Jackson may have offended them and they came and killed him for what he was doing, he is not the only person that studies esoteric. There are many such societies within New York. Such as the Carlisle group, for example.
They're under the bus. I love it.
I told you there was a reason.
Sidney is not part of this conversation. Like, I want it to be clear. Sidney is going like, what the where did that come from?
That is
Are
true.
you-
They have been in the newspaper for their, wanderings into different areas of places where they should not have been.
And the Carlisle group in New York, I keep on hearing their name, like, in media on the expeditions and doing security.
Are you... Okay, I have to ask...
Sorry,
Phoenix's,
I
are
do
you
security
actually
for
throwing Carlisle's at the Lieutenant Martin Pearl?
Yes, I am.
Do it!
100%.
All right, then.
You
Throw him under the bus.
His whole thing for the last 5 years has been undermining them financially.
This would do that.
And this is just more fuel.
Okay.
I try to add to that by explaining that I keep on hearing.
Roll me a persuade advantage as Jack Hunt is giving you advantage on this one.
Now, this I am terrible at, but I'm going to try it anyway.
What else could you roll that you could try to work with?
Oh, I'm going to... persuade is fine. All of my social skills are terrible. So I am fine with persuade. Let's just hope I roll really well. No, and... I am
want to spend the 16 luck.
I am
You're going to spend in the luck?
Spend that 16 luck.
16.
So, for those that have just joined us and missed the prelude, Carlisle Group was mentioned at the end as like another big bad guy at the end of the prelude. So, Alejandro has spent 5 years undermining essentially a business competitor who also has links to being bad and nasty, which is the Carlisle Group, which is just thrown under the bus.
Love that. Love that for you.
Look, there was a reason why I said
No, yeah.
I mean,
mad
I had
mad
no
respect.
doubt there was a reason. Whether it was a good reason has yet to be seen.
The poll results are in, by the way.
Okay. Keep that for the moment because I'm actually have to make something quickly.
I love it when you cause it keeper work.
Yes, you're making the keeper actually do a job, which is
Yeah.
okay. Well, I think we might go to an early break there.
Yeah.
That gives
Give
the
me some
keeper
time.
enough time to
Yeah.
work out exactly where the information he wants to give. Now with that luck spend, it's gonna take me a
Luck
few
well
minutes to get that
spent.
sorted out. Yes, luck very well spent.
And for those that are new to also Call Cthulhu, luck is a resource that actually gets spent. If you miss a roll by just a little bit, you can blow that luck, which doesn't usually come back very easily, to actually make that roll or make the roll even better. We use donations to help us with a little bit extra luck here and there because we're going to be spending it,
And I just dropped 16.
which is a lot.
It's
Oh, it's so worth it.
A lot of D6s to make that one back up. So we are going to go to an early break. We'll come out of the Precinct 7, typing background audio, and go back to shaking it. Just a heads up for when you come back from that break, we play our second version of our intro movie. It has distorted audio, so if you have sensory issues when it comes to audio, just mute it. It's deliberately disturbing, deliberately distorted, because usually by this stage you've got an idea that this is called Cthulhu and it's horror. So just as a heads up, it's distorted audio. Mute it if you have sensory issues around that and sensitivities. But other than that, we'll be back in about 10 minutes. See you soon.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm back. Apparently, I won some dice for some reason for saying there's comic
Well,
books.
you actually all won 1d6 luck
Woo!
because
Woohoo!
there was comics in the papers of the 1920s.
Nice.
It pays to ask questions, kids.
It does.
And it pays when your keeper's actually honestly curious about this. And says, was there actually cartoons in that? So roll d6. 1d6.
Look,
See?
you have to understand, I'm so low luck that 2 luck brings me up to 15, and I think that's more than I've had. That is more luck than Sidney has had canonically in 5.5 years.
Woo! Dang.
It just goes to show that you get anywhere where you want to go with. You don't need luck to get ahead in life. You just need skills and a nice keeper.
Yes.
And a touch of ruthlessness, let's be fair.
Well, that's just fair.
Meta-wise, I'm waiting to get to 100 and blow it on a single roll.
Key!
You can't get to 100 luck, you can only get to 99.
Yes, but I
that's right.
can't. But I can't fail like a roll too high enough to spend 99 anyway.
Oh,
so
you can always fail a roll.
but you can't spend luck on a critical fail like that to make it an
That's
extreme
it.
success.
That's
I-
it.
True.
I'm waiting for an important occult roll and just blowing everything on it,
Don't you love it?
or operate heavy machinery maybe. maybe a medicine. I don't know. Either way, we're back.
Yeah, so welcome back. That was a impromptu called break, which is I just had a look at what we're going for. It was actually at the time for a break, so it worked. It worked well. So, if anyone else wants to say anything before we go back into RP, okay. At the name of Carlisle Group, Tenant Martin Pearl reaches forward and asks, "What's this about the Carlisle Group relating to this situation?" And asks this question directly at Alejandro.
The Carlisle Group poses as a very reputable shipping industry, but if you look at their history, as Jack was mentioning, they often go to sites to raid them for esoteric information and artifacts. And in the papers not too long ago, there was the discussion of the brother who went to Africa and
Yes,
was
Roger.
killed by the locals as part of a ritual.
Yeah, we were doing some research into doing. Well, sorry. I do work with expeditions, security stuff like that. And for a side work, we're looking at expanding to doing hunting expeditions in Africa, and that incident kind of stopped us from venturing that way in that direction. That could be, but yeah, the name turns up all over the place in Egypt, the Carlisles.
So the Carlisles are
At this
moving
point,
in the-
Martin Pearl reaches into his table. Again, past the random other detritus of his table, probably half a bottle of gin.
Arrest that man.
That's my favorite type of drink, officer.
Sydney's gonna look at it, and is it as good a quality as she sells normally?
No, it is the bad hooch.
No.
Sydney
It's
is going to
bathtub.
Just leave it. Move on.
Sydney cringes a little seeing that, and then just shakes her head. She doesn't want to piss off the officer, but at the same time, she's like, "Why are you drinking something that could make you go blind? Let me make you good stuff."
He reaches into the table, the drawer, pulls out a folder again, and actually brings out hopefully everything that got showed to players. Up in the folder. Inside in the folder is this photo of the Carl exhibition.
Sydney visibly stiffens.
I found a photo very similar to this one in the library.
Officer, I have a very pertinent question to you. And I think the rest of the group might want to know it too if they think back to our Peruvian expedition. Is there a recorded name of the woman at the top of that photo? As I last saw her talking to someone who tried to kill us in Peru. That was the woman talking to Larkin right before everything happened, remember?
I did not catch her face.
I can't remember. I was having tea at the time.
I can say this. After she talked to De Mendoza, or not to De Mendoza, to De Rosa, De Rosa started going mad. And then she vanished on us. She was the last person who talked to Rosa in the marketplace that day. Do you, I'm not sure, was it Alejandro or, it was Alejandro with us at that time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Do I
So Sidney's like looking
recognize
at Alejandro because I think he saw because he ran over to get the mirror.
I was there right when she got it. So did I see the shopkeeper? Or do I recognize her as the shopkeeper, I should say?
What would you roll to recall that knowledge?
Intelligence normally.
Intelligence. So give me an intelligence roll.
Ah, one of my another one of my great stats since I have so many.
I'm so sorry. Like,
Nope.
You can get advantage on this roll because Sydney did recall some information. So that would help.
I got
that's a success.
Well done.
Actually, you know what? Just to make it the hard, I will spend the 3.
Ooh, big spender.
Putting on verbose is doing its job. What? Nothing. Didn't say it out loud. I really didn't. Color special. So you asked for a name I wasn't expecting to give at this point.
He doesn't have to know it. I'm not saying he knows it necessarily, but it's just like that is Sydney's immediate panic. Like, you guys have seen Sydney scared before. Sydney is scared right now.
She doesn't seem to fit the group, though.
No, she was Mr. Carlisle's current squeeze from Kenya, I think it was. Didn't actually get a name, but Bunny, B-N-I think was the best way to, how they pronounce the name at least. Otherwise,
Bob?
you had Roger Phyllis?
Bunyip.
To answer your question, Sydney, yes, it is the shopkeeper.
That is incredibly disturbing.
So, to add another point to what I was saying before, they are trafficking in esoteric goods as well.
Because
So does half
she
the English
did,
Empire.
which is true, but this woman also potentially led to the death of the heir of one of the wealthiest families in the United States.
In answer
Now, I'm
to
not
the
sure if
question,
this... Sorry.
In Clockwork from the Top, Bunny, I think her name was, Roger Carlyle, Jack Brady, who was Mr. Carlyle's, for lack of a better term, bodyguard and keeper. You also actually had Hypatia Masters. Then you had Sir Aubrey Penhew, who was over here from England, and a Dr. Robert Ellington Hudson.
Jack, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Do you work with the Penhew Foundation at all?
I could have worked with them. I know I haven't worked with the Carlyles, but
Yeah, no, the Penhew Foundation would have been... Do you recognize... which one of them is supposed to be the Penhew?
Penhew, one furthest on the left, in the tweed, in the tan jacket.
Okay. Do you recognize this man at all? And Sidney would point to him. Point to his picture.
either I do or I don't. I don't know. It's just straight. Either I do or I don't know.
You don't remember, you don't recognize him.
Okay.
Because the Carlisle expedition was going on. I would say that it took about a year or 2 years to get your company sorted out, Karsh, is that right?
It's just people, yeah. But I don't do all the bits and pieces, and I might not see everybody. And that's some weird noise. I'm sorry. Don't know where that was from. if the Penhew does things through the Geographical Society, I may have heard of them, but I just may not have worked with them.
Oh no, and it was yeah, no. That was that was me confused about something.
Yeah.
No, I was curious because I believe you mentioned having done work with the Penhew Foundation, and that's his foundation for archaeology. I'm vaguely aware of them. I've never worked with them before, but
No, I don't think I've worked with them. It's just if they do work through the Geographical Society of England, then I may have had some meeting with them. But let's face
they
it,
most definitely have.
most of those club meetings are just getting drunk on cognac and telling old stories about Egypt,
That is
smoking
fair.
cigars.
I'm sure. I hope you have fun with them.
I do. Like our expedition to Egypt goes down as a treat every time I tell that story.
Yeah, I'm sure you get a lot of laughter and a lot of knowing looks.
Yes. How did you know? Oh, they're hysterical, that bunch.
I've been to a lot of these meetings, dear. I am an archaeologist, much as... that is actually my profession. I'm an archaeologist. I own an antique store.
It's just the English ones, they're more, how can I put this without being super
You can be as
offensive?
snooty as you need, dear.
Well, I'm not dressed up today, but no, they're very much
You don't need to be-
male-orientated. That's all.
Yes,
I'm
no,
trying
I'm
to
very
say.
familiar with that being the issue in the field.
Yeah. But
Trust me, I've run into that more than once, and I'm sure that Dr. Baker has probably, in her field as well, run into that problem more than once.
There's a certain level of entitlement that comes along with both money and, honestly, a penis.
One's...
Yeah.
I was going to say one's gender, but simply due to some of my previous experiences, knowing that the actual physical parts don't necessarily equal to how someone is perceived. That is neither here nor there.
so sorry for getting distracted, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant, was there any... I completely understand if you cannot tell me this, as you are a police precinct and there are people's privacy and everything else involved, but I'm going to assume that just due to Eric Carlyle's status as a wealthy individual, she called the police following her brother's disappearance and an investigation into the woman at the top. Was there any information that was found about her that you can share? I've seen her do terrible things, and quite honestly, the fact that she is now entered into my life, even adjacently twice, is terrifying.
No information, which is surprising. She appeared on the scene. Photos were taken at society gatherings. We've always with Mr. Carlyle, and rumor had it that she was the one who suggested that they'll do a trip to Egypt.
Thank you. If you do
But
see her, or your police do, I would be
Since
very
this
careful.
case is closed,
Yes.
I don't see any reason why you can't take it with you.
I do appreciate that. If you, or I'm not sure who you trust to pass this on, but if she does show up in New York and you do see her, especially you who's investigating this case, I would say be very careful. I know that we're led to believe that women are not dangerous, but I can tell you from the experience of the women in this room, I fear them more than I fear the men.
Everyone looks at the doctor.
To be fair, Sidney doesn't look at the doctor. Sidney looks at the ballerina who could probably kick
No,
her ass 9 ways past Sunday.
Oh no, that's
Straight to the
Aveline.
doctor.
That's Nursey.
I have no clue what you're talking about. Just because I served in the war doesn't mean that I was a combatant.
No. No. You were a combatant, but you just weren't fighting the Germans. You were fighting our own troops. I've seen your bedside manner.
Well, I wouldn't have to fight them if they just submitted to proper protocol and healing.
I think that's why they
And
fought
stop
you.
trying to grab my butt. Jesus. Like they've
Now
never
that's
seen...
what I will agree with you on. The number of men who decide to get handsy with you the moment that they realize that you are female is ridiculous.
With
Wild.
their knuckles.
Oh, let me tell you something about what happened. A lot of them got restful sleep for many days at a time with anesthetics that were administered
Rapidly and directly?
rapidly and directly to some very important veins.
And when the anesthetics weren't available, bedpan to the face. That got them unconscious quickly too.
I mean, if someone did grab me, I would personally wish I was strong enough to hit them with a sheet of metal to knock them out.
And we're not talking empty ones either.
Well, what would be the fun in that? At least let them know they did something wrong.
I imagine there were also a lot of, let's just say, recreational amputations.
No, those weren't necessary. Those were already in the works. Now,
Come on, I'm pretty sure that those parts were not normally targeted by bombs. And it's obvious that the men were thinking too strongly with the wrong head, so let's help them out a bit.
I can neither confirm nor deny this as part of my oath.
I do apologize to any AMABs in the audience.
Just as a reminder to my friends, we are in the Policia station.
That's why
Lieutenant
at
Poole,
this
can you
point-
Lieutenant Poole, could you arrest somebody for any actions taken in the Great War overseas in Europe? I'm honestly really curious about that because I don't know the law well enough.
I've taken none of these actions. These are suppository. And I've neither confirmed nor denied them as it falls into doctor-patient confidentiality, which I would be woefully distressed to impede upon.
Yes, as well as doctor-patient confrontationality.
Not a confrontation if
mute
only
for a
one
minute.
part. If only one party is yelling, then it's not a confrontation.
And if you knock them out, then it's apparently not even a confrontation. Is that right?
Emmett
They can't
says it.
yell.
Emmett talks up, says, I think in the war was two-party consent was needed.
Either way.
Lieutenant Martin Poole just says, Mr. Poole says, it was the war. Things happened and, well, we're not going to have another one of those, are we?
Oh gosh, no. We best not.
I think we've all learned our lesson. We've all sat in time out for long enough, and now we know better.
We could hardly call it the war to end all wars if we decided to do it the second time. Come on. Surely to goodness. Humans
You
are
call
not
the
that stupid.
second war.
It was the
No,
second
no,
one.
I
We
said-
had the
yeah,
Boer
yeah.
War.
Boogaloo.
We only had the Boer War like 30 years ago.
Yes, well, that was a little foolish activity over in the colonies. I would assume that having most major military powers decide to have a pissing contest in the small sandbox, we surely wouldn't have children stupid enough to do that twice.
I'm sorry, are you saying that the colonies are not a military power? That Australia is not a military power? The Anzacs?
Mr. Poole just rises up and says, well, as much as interesting as this conversation is,
You could let Sidney and Jack fight outside his office.
yes, I think, thank you for your help. It's given me some information to come around. And if we have anything to talk about, I know where you are. I know I can get in touch with you. And sorry, just stop. And if we have any problems, we'll get in touch with you. You've given us some information to think about.
And while we're not supposed to go near the case, if the case comes near us, we will defend ourselves. And hopefully have people for you to interrogate afterwards.
Well, just don't break the law in my precinct.
I will do.
Where's the edge?
Honest
maybe?
question. Sydney's more like just honestly thinking, does she have any business in his precinct?
We decided that because you asked about speakeasies
I know I'm not
in the
in
Chelsea
Harlem.
area. Oh, actually.
No, Sydney had to bring in her own people into the Hotel Chelsea.
Yeah.
She doesn't have any business in the Chelsea area.
Which is where
Except
my pool is.
Yeah, except for maybe selling booze to some of the speakeasies there, but even there, she doesn't have direct business. She doesn't work in Chelsea.
No, then.
So she's just like, I can promise that I have nothing I would want to do in your precinct, except ask you how the case is going and hope that you have success.
Yes.
But you know what they say, Lieutenant Poole. In order to make an omelet, you have to break a few laws.
I don't quite.
What type of cooking do you do?
I
use eggs.
And at the end of that conversation, the door comes open. A beat cop comes around, escorts you to the front door, and you are on the doors, the outside the doors of the police agency.
I am very grateful for that, because I had no clue how we were getting out of that one without being arrested. Like, of all things to say to the officer who's already threatened to arrest us.
Tatiana's a loose cannon. I don't know what to tell you, Sydney.
She's a loose cannon on the edge 24/7.
Look, Sydney's not any better. I'm gonna say, just like you saw what happened.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I would say that took about a few hours of your time. I would say it'll be getting close to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. The day is yours. What do you want to do? Well, the rest of the day is yours. What would you like to do? You got some information. You made your poor keeper actually have to do like multiple different pages of work. I love you guys for it. It's so much fun.
I believe we were talking about perhaps going to Harlem to enjoy the nightlife and trying to get a better sense.
I do recall that we mentioned that. I think we also mentioned potentially stopping by the New York University, as well as I do believe your companion Renee needed a safe place to stay the evening.
I believe she'll be safe at the theater.
Sounds good. Do let me know if you need to take up the other offer where there are people with boomsticks to make sure that everyone is safe. All sorts of boomsticks, whether they're the thrown kind or the ones that simply light up the night.
No, I am waiting for the NYU. The professor is supposed to call me back, so you're waiting for her.
All right, I did not realize that, so that is good information to have. Otherwise, were we not? For lack of a better term, there was I believe Miss Adams mentioned or Mrs. Adams, my apologies. She mentioned something about a crackpot who had information about the cult. Am I remembering that correctly, Keeper? I remember her ranting about it.
That was about Modern Kind of Lemming.
It's still day. We have several hours to spend. Do we want to attempt to talk to this Dr. Lemming? In case he has information for us?
If he is a crackpot, do you think he will be difficult? Because if so, if we take a couple hours, there is something I can do to ease the way a little bit, but...
Just that nurse hit him over the head with a
The main thing I remember is that crackpot, so we're not sure how valid he is, but that he likes to talk without shutting up. I don't think we'll have problem getting him to tell us what we want to know.
Delightful.
I do believe, though, if you would like the time to prepare that, there will be others who will be less likely to talk with us that might be useful for in future.
Yes. Perhaps at the dawn of a new day. The next time we are unexpectedly pulled into a police station, I will be prepared.
Okay. If you don't remember your current clues, you have...
Pulling them up now.
Hmm?
Pulling them all up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the problem is, I remember too many clues, and I don't know what clues Sidney knows.
Did we ever contact Harvard about what book?
Yes. Alejandro did, I think.
Okay.
No, Emmett was the one who spoke with.
Oh, Emmett, sorry, I'm sorry. I knew somebody did.
Yeah,
The
Emmett,
book disappeared with the smell of rotten eggs. Elias
The book
was
was-
searching for information on the bloody tongue.
the book was called Africa's Dark Sex.
Thank you.
Did we
Yes.
meet Rebecca Schosenberg?
Yes, you did at the
At the courthouse.
courthouse.
With
Before I
Millie.
forget, you just before you're about to walk away from the police station, a beat cop walks up to you and discreetly passes Jack a letter.
Do any of us notice?
Does Jack even notice?
How discreet was it?
Roll me a spot hidden.
Thank you.
I thought you were meaning Jack to roll the spot hidden, but okay.
Yeah, no, Jack and Ross spot hidden as well.
Yeah, everyone rolls a spot hidden. This is see who notices.
I would say if this is something that we want to pursue, some of these books, I do have a pretty good use and knowledge of certain libraries and libraries in general.
As do I. Am a reasonably adept researcher. But I feel like... Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm not trying to cut off Jack.
Hey, thanks, officer, for giving me this. Start opening up the letter.
I'm gonna assume the officer, like, slinks away with a confused...
Oh yeah, it's pretty much been done on the down low.
Yeah.
But again,
it's
it's
a
Jack.
message from it's a message from Poole saying death row.
I do believe that
I
we
don't
do
know what
have
this means.
one of...
Hilton Adams.
May I?
Hilton Adams. He is on death row. He was involved, I believe, in vigilante groups looking around the city. Yes.
Could be
Well,
linked to
I
that.
would say that it...
Also, a name of George Burton owes me a favor. I will post that name in chat for you. For the people who live in New York City, roll me a... I can never remember what recall knowledge is.
If you're trying to recall things that we've experienced, it's intelligence. If you want us to recall things that are due to our jobs, it's education.
Roll me education
If you're
check,
wanting
then.
us to know about social interactions, that's credit rating.
I would say this would be education. It's not that hard.
Extreme!
You would know this because you've been to
Yay!
Sing Sing before to help some of your people out. He's
Yep.
the subwarden at Sing Sing, mostly in charge of death row.
Is he at all, by chance, somebody Sidney has garnered favor with via, She doesn't normally go into business that would put her associates on death row, like anything like that. So it's just more of an amused
No,
curiosity on my end.
You would know that due to the nature of his job, he has a mixture of respectful treatment of the prisoners and improving ability to break heads to keep the prison running smoothly. So people know that if they call for George, shit's going to either go down, but they're going to go down because they deserve it.
Sydney's gonna blink a little bit then if, like, is she allowed to see the note? Is more the big thing, or does anybody read the note out loud?
Did Jack...
I just handed
let
off
the
to
note be
anyone.
taken?
Okay, Sydney would offer to take it, or whoever else was there.
I think Tatiana was offering, but
You know, so I think so Tatiana has it, so I'd be asking, does she read it out loud?
Yeah.
And also
I
with
think
that,
so.
Tatiana, with that success, you'll know that they are one of the wardens at Sing Sing.
Okay.
How actually, and no, with your backstory of knowing Millie and Hilton, you'll also understand that Millie has tried to go in to talk to Hilton, but George is always the one stopping them.
All right, cool. Tatiana says, Death Row George Bunton owes him a favor. This is very good. Millie has tried time and time again to get access to her husband, to talk to him, to see him, and has been denied because of George. So if we can get in through a favor on Lieutenant Poole's part to see George, or to see Hilton, maybe we can talk about what Hilton might have seen during his times.
I think that would
As he
be...
was.
The more I'm hearing about this, I do think it would be worth us if we have the time today, or in the next couple of days after the funeral, to go there. I'm pretty sure that you have to book ahead of time for visiting at Death Row, but... Actually, Keeper, I'm going to ask this just right now. If Sydney is familiar with this person because she's had to go to get people off of Death Row before, do you have to book ahead?
Yes, you do.
Okay. We will have to call ahead to be able to get permission to go in. They don't let just anyone go into Death Row, and the thing I will mention for us going in there is that we will all have to be essentially unarmed. So I do recommend we plan this carefully if the ones who are going after Jackson might be looking for us. We don't know what they know, but we will be vulnerable at that time. So it might be an idea that not everyone goes.
I should go because I know Millie.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying who goes. I'm just simply mentioning that I'm going to say just as a general thing for all of us here, I don't think any of us should be traveling alone. In my experience, when you've run into trouble with groups like this, whether it be gangs or even Jack, I'm willing to bet this was the rule in the war, you don't go alone. At the very least, buddy system.
no, in the war you just shoot people. That's pretty much it. They're wearing a different uniform, well, you just shoot them.
All right, and if you had to go to other lines? Behind enemy lines, did you go alone?
No, the general calls for the English general. There's 20 miles behind the front in a chateau or whatever. Just tells people to go, and 1,000 people die. That's pretty much how it works. Well,
I am familiar with
the European side. In Egypt, it was a bit less, but similar.
Fair enough. Regardless, I would just recommend for all of our own safeties, we at least try and make sure that we're not traveling alone the best that we can.
Tatiana looks at Sidney and then Emmett and says, "You all were much more outraged about the death of a couple of books than you were about Jack mentioning thousands of people dying. I just wanted to point that out."
My dear, I know how many people have died over in Europe. I have visited the graves. I am also familiar with the fact that the only thing that we normally leave behind is information. And that not only are there thousands of people dead, but then you decided to quite literally destroy the only memory we have of them that will outlast you and your legacy.
I was just talking about what we were doing in our trenches. The Anzacs were doing much worse. They had they were talking about having like a communal rag, like in the old days, like a rag on a stick in old days, and at the end of every week, throwing it over into the enemy trenches, and then doing that every single week. I mean, that's just horrible. I'd rather use what we had around.
Well, aside from throwing feces at one another like monkeys,
Sidney had no response to that. Like, you see very much a blank, like, I've heard this.
Tatiana, I believe you're hoping to get your Millie a chance to speak with her husband, so we can take care of that. But for things to deal with Jackson, we still need to deal with the Juju house.
If I might, just of the difference, before we go into the Juju house, I know that we were hesitant with this before, but the Emerson Emporium is, for lack of a better term, it's not a government agency, but they're not going to be directly related to. They're merely the ones who would screen items being shipped in. For lack of a better term, they're just the port authority. So if they can give us information, they're not likely to pass on and get us in trouble.
I assigned my company to look into the Emerson imports yesterday, so I am waiting for them to tell us what they find. But aside from the name Silas Nakwani, we have nothing else on Emerson. So I still don't see the merit of going and saying, hey, do you know our dead friend?
Honestly, given that Jackson went into a whole bunch of areas and just randomly said, I'm investigating something creepy, and somehow people still gave him information.
Because he gave them money.
Jackson was not very known to bribing people. We knew him for all of a dinner before he decided to give up his secret identity while we were in Peru.
Yes.
The man just talked to people and made friends. Yes, he used money when he needed to.
And bribed a lot of people. This was common and stuff. But
He never gave me money. Bugger.
because you are getting paid by the guy we shot. But
Are you walking away from the police agency now, please?
No, I'm assuming we're like just walking aimlessly down the street looking for a cafe, and Sydney's complaining about the cold every so often.
Look,
we also
At
have.
least you finally admit it.
I've never denied I shot him. But anyway, the Pinhue Foundation, we have a name of Edward Gavigan. But again, there is not much more to go on, but they're in London. Well, then we have the matchbook of the Stumbling Tiger on Lantern Street. Is that in New York?
Didn't the matchbook say Shanghai on it?
It says the Stumbling Tiger Shanghai Fun and Friends.
Doesn't mean it's in Shanghai.
It's on 10 Lantern Street.
Can the locals to
I mean-
New York attempt to roll if there's a lantern
Yeah, like-
street?
I mean, we're sitting in New York, but we're not in England.
Well,
Yeah,
this
you can
is
roll.
why
You can
I'm
roll.
ask- I do
Is that
not
the
know-
education?
Yep. Just trying to find out where my.
come on.
The best dice roll.
I mean, it's a good 8. That's a good education roll right there.
Mm.
And it's a success, even better. Hey, Molgars, if you spend 1 luck, you could technically bump yours up to the nice number. Sorry.
Tatiana's familiar enough with the number. She doesn't need the bumper luck.
Hey!
Regardless, does Sydney... I mean, the other thing I'm going to say is that the fact that this says Stumbling Tiger Bar, and we are in Prohibition in New York, and this would have to be a mass distributed and at least a legal match company knowing that you are selling matches to a bar.
If you want to
Maybe
find
it's
a
a hole?
bar in New York, you just ask the bellman at any hotel. They'll tell you
Yes.
where bar is.
Yes, but the thing is about a speakeasy is that typically speaking, we don't put the name and the location of the speakeasy on products we give the customers.
It'd make it
Usually.
easy for the customers
Wander
to
out
find them.
drunkenly with
So they
to
have
the police.
better marketing than you. Eh,
Yeah, might be an idea. Allow the customers to find you a little bit easier, get more business.
What if you put bar in quotation marks, like bar? You know, like then you're covered. It's alleged.
If you call it
My
a
alleged
restaurant,
bar.
nobody looks twice at the tax records.
besides, they do not say what they are serving at bar.
With
No,
no
of course,
knowledge.
they just keep...
And just for sake of knowledge, I actually googled 1920s streets, Lantern Street. There is no Lantern Street in New York City.
No. I kind of figured there wasn't, and also, in response to Alejandro's statement, Sidney would go, yes, they just offer you a knock on the head to explain the stumbling part. You have to pay as you walk in.
Maybe it's in Harlem.
All right.
Barlum.
If you are not familiar with this street, the only other thing we have left is to speak to the professore from Australia. Cals. But,
do we know what
and
university
then
he's
going
with?
to the Juju. Aside from doing the favor for Millie for Tatiana,
Well, it's not just it's not a favor for Millie. Hilton was involved in I don't remember the name of it at this moment, but he was involved in a group of people who I believe he was involved with a group of people.
The Harlem Hellfighters, I think you're
The
trying to remember.
Harlem
Yes.
Hellfighters. Thank you so much.
Would we be
he
able
was
to talk with
involved-
them?
Well, I wonder if Hilton might have seen something when he was involved with them. That might be helpful or of use.
That is true, and I could, if we're going to be in that area, I could try to find a local library or something and do some more research on this cult, or at least maybe track down some dealers of some books that I've purveyed earlier to see what they might know about some
Did you go...
hard to acquire literature.
Did you do that independently of Sidney? Because I remember Sidney being the one having to track down the books for you.
She would occasionally take like some trips to go find some books. So
Okay,
she did make some.
that's what I was checking, because I was trying to remember
Yeah.
the break. I'm like, did you basically just use Sidney going like, hey, you're good at finding things?
I use Sidney partially, but then I would also do some of my own legwork.
No, absolutely. I was just checking because I couldn't remember. That was Eon not remembering, not Sidney not remembering.
It's early in the day. Well, it's early in the afternoon. If we are heading to Harlem, it'll be late. It'll be late by the time we get there. And I don't feel like going into Harlem's nightlife when that seems to be when people are being attacked, or the link of people getting attacked. Let's just, I'd say just take the day off, attend the funeral tomorrow, see if we can book an appointment to speak to this people in prison, and see if we can get something like that.
If you look at the end, I forgot to mention this earlier, but under He Owes Me a Favor, there's a date of 2 days after the 2 days after the funeral.
Okay, so we've got 2 days to get him off death row, apparently.
No,
So,
2 days until your appointment. He's already made it for you.
Okay, we've got an appointment. That'd be even easier. So, funeral's in morning, afternoon tomorrow. I haven't seen the paper yet.
At the Power of Plot.
Okay. The funeral's at some point tomorrow. So if we get the funeral in the morning over and done with, you can maybe go to Harlem, speak to the Hellfighters, and do a little bit of looking around.
We should probably talk with Millie about who are the Harlem Hellfighters.
You would know this, Molgars. Your people from the Harlem Hellfighters are Needleham Johnson, a reporter in New York Age, Douglas Fells, a sculptor, Art Mills, a jazz musician, and Jackie Wallace, who at the moment is a hospital orderly. You would also know that they tend to hang out at a bar local to Harlem.
Would it be by chance the place we stopped in for sandwiches and
No.
coffee? Aw.
We're in the other end of the river, I believe.
Oh,
Well, I share those names with the rest of the group, and I say, and they happen to know the bar where they meet. It took a while to come to me, but crazy like a fox, this Tatiana.
It's been a long day, and all honesty, dear, you're recalling more than I would.
I'm surprised you're recalling anything. You're being sober right now.
Very well.
I tend to find that...
Forget.
I was going to say, it's like I tend to find that being sober helps your memory.
Only when your normal logical state is being sober. With Tatiana, her normal logical state was not that. So I'm surprised that...
Sidney does not even really have a response to that other than to look at Jack and go, so, I might regret asking this, dear, then do you recall things better when you're drunk? To Jack.
Depends on the things, really. Fighting, usually. Actually, fighting mostly.
Well, you know how they say to retrace your steps sometimes if you need to remember something. It's hard to remember something you did while you're drunk if you're sober. It's hard to remember something you did while you're sober if you're drunk. So like, had to for a while there, back when I was in a wilder partying days, I did used to have to, sometimes get a drink or two to jog the old memory. But we're past that.
So, if we are done investigating for the night, where is the Juju house located?
Juju House.
I think that was in Harlem.
It's in Harlem.
Is in Harlem, yes.
Maybe I have an idea. Why not this? Why don't we walk by the Juju house, get an idea of it. If we're not going to investigate tonight, at least get a sense for the outside of it, and then maybe go to Teddy's saloon, have a drink or two, relax before the funeral tomorrow, and if we see the Harlem Hellfighters, we can have a conversation with them. They're nice people.
That sounds like a good idea, and then probably get jumped by a cult on the way home.
At least we're all armed. This is the better time whenever we're together aware and armed than...
And we've just been told not to go there, so awesome.
We were told not to investigate the case. I'm just more curious about...
We're not. We're
what kind of
investigating the other case. Yeah.
No. And specifically, I'm curious of the Juju House's potential business opportunity for somebody who sells antiques. I'm also curious how they got away with the name Juju House. That seems...
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable, to be quite honest, to say it out loud. I'm really hoping that the establishment owners are at least not white.
The individual that we are interested in is Madunga Madari.
It's okay. Most of the Jewish population is are living in Germany right now, like in Europe, they'd be fine. I had to say it. I'm sorry. I did.
I'm just going to be honest. I don't even know how to respond to that because it didn't even make sense in this case.
It's so bad. I'm sorry. I really.
It's fine. It's okay. Well, I had a slightly different thought to how I would spend my night.
Yeah.
Depending on the layout of this shop, where it is, I may go sleep on a roof tonight.
You got
Perfectly
like a.
logical.
Alejandro, not to completely dissuade you from having a good idea. You're from a South American warm country. We're in New York in winter. Do you have the supplies?
Have you ever been on top of a mountain that is 14,000 feet high in the middle of
Yes.
winter.
Yes,
Why would
I'm
they chop
asking,
off
do you
all
have
those feet?
supplies to not freeze to death? That's my main worry!
My mother is from La Paz. Her people are from Teotihuacan, which is near Lake Titicaca, which is at 18,000 feet. That is
doesn't...
my homeland.
I will repeat the
asking if I
question.
know-
You're a tourist.
You're asking me if I know how to deal with cold. Yes.
No. I have no doubt you know how to deal with cold. I am confirming before I walk away and then get a call from Lieutenant Poole or Captain Robson or whoever that they found your frozen body on top of a rooftop, that you at least have a blanket.
I have an
Not all of
entire
us are.
And then,
I
like,
have an entire shipping container on the dock full of prepared safari supplies because I was assuming Jackson was sending us somewhere, not running around Harlem.
And that was basically all I wanted to check, was that you had accounted for that before I walked away and had to bury another friend.
Worst case, I go buy another
I trust you.
Jack.
Sydney,
I
not all of
trust
us
you.
are as delicate of constitution as you are.
yeah.
I would trust not.
I'm more concerned that the phone call also adds that they found your body with like a weird symbol carved into it and your throat slit.
That is the great thing about the 30-06 is I can shoot half a mile away.
You do raise an excellent point when you put it like that.
And that's like elephant guns. We've just got a shipment, well, working on a shipment of elephant guns, but we're not going to have them locally. But that
I
might
have
be an
my-
interest for you.
Can Sidney, call to arrange some sort of a padlock or door jam so that Alejandro can at least limit the number of ways somebody can get up to see him?
There's an easy way to do that. You take a coin and you put it in door jam. Then the door doesn't swing open. Trust the younger child. I know all the tricks from a sibling. You just take a coin, put it in the door jam, and the doors won't open. It works great.
If you're looking to to deal with people further away, I think elephant gun is the way to go. In the war, we used them as counter snipers because the Germans, they would actually get plates from the tanks and use that to shield themselves, but the big bore elephant guns go right through the plate.
No. But the point of tonight is not me going and shooting people. I want to watch the place. I want to see who comes, who goes, and if anything interesting happens. I don't plan on engaging.
But what if there's more? What if there's more wild animals? We don't want more scars, would you?
I'm not too worried about a jaguar attacking me in New York City.
The zoo hasn't had
certainly
any
hope not.
escapes recently. Jack, I do have to ask, how many wild animals are loose in London that you're worried about that?
I think he's talking about these.
Oh no, I do understand that. I'm more curious what is wild in London that he thinks that you'd have a repeat experience.
Have you seen?
Last time I checked, it was just a smog-filled island.
Have you seen those tabbies that roam the streets at night? Those things are scary.
Oh yeah, the wild cats of New York, famous for their ferociousness.
They hunt in packs too.
Most predators do. Well, no, most cats do at the very least.
Why don't we have my car and your car? Did someone else drive? I thought someone else drove.
Sidney did. Sidney needs a moment to recover from that conversation, but
You're welcome.
she at least, as you ask, if... Actually, I'm going to roll me a sanity roll, because in all honesty, if Eon needs to make a sanity check, Sidney needs to make a sanity check after that conversation. Alright, Keeper, do your worst.
For cats?
Well, how many years has it been since you've been in London? I mean,
You lose 2.
Yep.
So
I'm pretty sure half of that's from Sidney beating her head against the wall after the conversation.
Yeah.
Tatiana turns to Sergeant Jack and says, "That one's a little fun to rile up, isn't she?"
Hey, you can't redeem on yourself. But because you're not here, I'll allow it. So, Sydney, you get some luck. Because Eguy is not here, so technically can redeem on his own show.
Thank you, Eguy. I am up to a grand total of 19 luck, and I do appreciate it.
I am 5 points higher than you. Ha!
Big spender.
I'm now very scared, Phoenix, because I was spending luck like it was water.
So am I.
Just sipping it.
Alright.
Lucky.
That being said, the luck that you spent was well spent for that one.
I'm still waiting to blow all mine at once.
Well then, how about this? Jack, you come with me to the docks so I can pick up some clothes and a few other items. And then you and I will drive around the Juju shop, and then you can go meet everyone at the... Take my car to meet everyone at the bar.
Okay. Apparently going to the docks then. Cool.
Yeah, it gives me an opportunity to...
Oh.
Eguy.
Okay, so fine. So we have Ubiquitous 42, MrLiveProducer, Kawaii by Kelly, Sparkly NPC, and the one and only Magic Man.
Ooh.
So thank you, Eguy, for the 5 gift subscribes. So this means
All right.
either a lot of luck. I would probably urge people to use this for ticks. For like skills where you got maybe 5 or less on, just as a heads up.
Eguy, question for you if you're in chat, which you are. What you can do yours next week, or I can do the dice rolls for you.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm going to take a combination of ticks and luck.
I'm going to be completely honest. Sydney is not surviving past this arc, and I need the luck to make sure that she can do the things she needs to.
Fair enough.
Regardless, spoiler alert, Sydney is not leaving New York with this party if we leave New York.
How many total? There was 5? Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna take 2 ticks, I think, and do the rest in luck.
Okay.
Thank you, Eguy. That literally almost doubled my luck.
Oh, I did 3d4. That's a d4. Might be. I'll take it.
I am going to do a tick in fast talk and disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will take the other 3 in luck to try to rebuild back to more than 24.
The ticks be in anything?
If ticks mean that you get to level up your skill
When we do level ups, which isn't
Yeah.
immediate.
Yes. But can I choose to take anything?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything
Okay,
but
then
credit
Apart
rating
from
or Cthulhu Mythos.
Okay, I'm doing a cult and locksmith.
I am doing a cult as well and a praise.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm actually going to take one more in an intimidate, and then the other 2 I'm going to take in luck.
Okay.
Thank you,
Made me
Eguy. That
feel-
got
yeah,
me
thank-
half
Thank you,
of my,
Eguy.
half of my luck expense expenditures for tonight back. Half. So thank you.
Okay, so for me, it's 1 tick in occult, 1 tick in appraise, 1 tick in fast talk. I'm just going to probably do the other 2 of luck, but I'm tempted of not. I'm tempted of taking throw just in case the Molotovs come out again. Because of, yes, we know this group. But no, I'll take 2 luck. So I'll roll 2 twice with luck. But yes, thank you, Eguy. This is unexpected. Thank you. 5.
Wow. Pretty much Phoenix, Cat, and Karsh all roll 1s.
I know it was
And even
disappointing.
Eon rolls a 1 as well.
Yeah, woof, woof.
All the 1s.
Really? Nice.
But I'm working up to get into the 90s so I can blow it all in one single roll. Because that's how you do luck.
It's all going to be on the worst one ever.
Probably.
And on my screen, that looks like it's cocked.
It's cocked. Yeah, it looks between a 1 and a 4, but it definitely says 1. Woof.
Oh, I'm fine.
You're fine. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Look, I have 37 luck. I have legitimately more than 5 times the amount of luck I started this session.
It's
You
a
have
good day
more
for
luck
you.
than me now.
Yeah.
I have the lowest luck now.
So-
34.
Okay.
Let's
1 in the
get
back. No, we don't. We don't have to get back. Gives me time to prep. All right, so I'm pretty much prepped for every situation that you do.
Except for the one we choose.
It's pretty much. So, okay. So now let's go over the order. What's Aveline doing in this break?
Aveline is going to be, before meeting them up at the Juju bar, is going to be hitting up the library, and is going to be trying to hunt down some more information on this cult.
Okay, so let's just say you get about 2 to 3 hours before you all agree to meet up at Molgars. Did you tell them the address of the bar?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not far from Lafayette Theater.
Yeah. So yeah, we're all good there. So if anyone wants to do anything before they move on to there, we'll do it now. So, Kat, I'll get you to roll me a library use check, please.
Let's do it.
And what exactly are you looking for?
Nothing, apparently. Jesus Christ.
Don't think you can push the roll.
The other thing is that it would depend on if Alejandro is confident going on his own. For some of the stuff, Sidney would offer to go and help with library because she's a decent researcher.
Okay.
My library use is 55 for context.
I would say you can push the roll. It just means you might be running late to the meeting. If you fail.
I'm gonna push it.
All right.
You could spend all that luck.
Yeah, I could spend 20 luck. Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
23 now.
no, I'm late. I'm late. I'm late.
Gotta spend the luck.
You start looking for this information as cult, and you read this really interesting treatise on how to treat hangnail.
No, not just hanging out. I mean, I guess. Yeah, she would have been looking for the connection between the book that we're supposed to be looking for and then the cult itself and what that might have to do with each other. That would be the specific thing she's looking for, but she didn't get there.
No, but let's just say, all right, you don't see any information about that, but to give you something for your
Something for my troubles.
something for your troubles, you can find some more information on Roger Carlyle.
Ooh.
So I'm just adding that now to the Roger Carlyle handout.
Well, thank you.
You would have all noticed during the conversation with Pool, you've got like sheets about the characters in it, like Roger. So there'll be a new thing in that for you there. And what? Actually, since you're also in the medical information, you'd also find this information on Dr. Hudsonton.
Oh, that would be good. Yes.
There you go. So that's been updated now for you. Okay. So you lose time. You don't find what you want, but you find some more information about the Carl principles. All right, Eon, what are you looking for?
Well, that's one thing. I was checking because Sidney had two different options. If Dr. Baker was okay with Sidney coming along, she'd be trying to find out information about the cult. If Dr. Baker wasn't okay with her coming along, Sidney would be instead heading back and basically updating her crew with arrangements of, here's what we've been told, don't piss off Pool, and has there been any word so far? Not that I'm expecting there has been.
Well, that's no Baker question. Did you want Eon? Oh, sorry, Sidney there to help you with research?
She wouldn't have stopped Sidney, but I mean, knowing now that she's got people that she attends to, she'd probably kind of skedaddle her out.
Okay, so yeah, no, you would.
Then Sidney's at home, basically back at her shop. And actually, no, the other thing Sidney would be doing is contacting her lawyer.
It's smart.
No, because of Millie. Because she had offered potentially getting Millie help. So Sidney would be contacting her lawyer to make sure that when they go to death row, like, Millie hasn't been allowed to see her husband. What the heck? So Sidney would be contacting her lawyer, basically going, this person has information that's pertinent to me, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So that would have been part of her more machinations for future, even if I don't do anything significant right now.
Okay, that's fine then. I would say Alejandro is already prepped, so I'll come to Alejandro next. Later. Molgars, what's Tatiana doing?
I think Tatiana, in absence of like being able to go to see Hilton today, I think she tries to go see the doctor. Crazy doctor. I mean, if he's got information relevant. I mean,
That's going to be a big roleplay situation, so we might do that next week. Okay. I would say Emmett might be following you for that as well if you make that known.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and well, we know Phoenix is doing Alejandro's doing Alejandro stuff. What's Karsh? What's Jack doing?
Everyone seems to be splitting up, and we were told not to split up.
I know, I love it.
We were told not to go alone, and then everybody ignored me. So Sidney's going alone.
Well,
to her heavily fortified bunker.
I'm with heavily fortified books. I'll be totally fine.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to abandon Alejandro to be alone, or to go to one of the others to lead back up. So, I just don't know if he.
Would he go keep the nurse company?
That's more of a distraction, and I would have shooed you away fast.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I think maybe going to the crazy doctor as a bodyguard, just in case.
You're not going to Juju House alone?
No, I'm not stupid. Well, I'm stupid, but not that type of stupid.
I'm sorry. I want to cause the Keep for Chaos. Here, let's split everybody up in the most awkward way possible. Actually, is that something Sidney could ask her contacts about? Do they know anything about Juju House? If it has any connection to her business? Like, her line of business, more.
They're a competitor, but you pretty much focus on different
Sorry,
You go-
are they competitors to the antique business? I'm talking about her crime business as well.
Oh
like
no,
if
not
they...
not to crime business.
Okay.
Antique,
Sorry,
but
you had me
focusing
go
on-
like, really?
Yeah, but focusing on Africa instead.
Yeah.
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 Fair enough.
I think I'll go to the mad doctor.
All
just
right.
in
So
case
what
there's
we'll
a
do,
bodyguard.
I'll just make a quick notes for
Yeah.
this because
I
we
can
may
see
wrap
we're
it.
wrapping up into.
Well, we're getting to the point where it's like, okay. But let me just go to my sheet. Sorry, I'm just going to my keeper notes page. So let's just say 1, 2, 3. So nurse, library.
And Phoenix, you don't need to change costume. That
No, I love it.
I love it.
This is the nighttime apparel, skulking through the what is it? The shipping freights at night. Da, 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 and then just like throw some stuff off
in the snow.
in the snow, but in black, which I feel like that's even like just love that.
Helps hide on the water towers.
There you go. And then he jumps
Night
down.
monkey, night monkey. And Eguy, let me. Sorry, this means I need to prep 3 areas next week. Ah, that's right. That's all done. However, I would say for Phoenix, roll me D100, please.
It's either really, really good or really, really bad.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So new character next week.
Glad I got one built.
Yep. All right.
Look.
So
There's a reason I'm currently doing my skills for my backup character, because Sidney has just pissed off a police detective who knows who she is as a criminal.
Well,
darker
how about
than
instead of
the-
having this, how about we wrap up here?
No, there's something with that role. Phoenix, are you actually on the roof right now?
Yes,
All right.
that is his plan. Is he is going to spend the night on a roof watching the back alley and back entrance of the Juju house. As
Okay.
much distance as he can get, but that is his plan.
On the back of Juju House.
Watching the on another roof, watching the back entrance and side alley.
Okay, give me 2 moments to get that set up. Because while you're on there, you will see a person walking out. You just love it when your characters say, "Oh, yeah, we want to do this." I'm going, okay. Where? Just trying to find. Okay. Take a breath. Think players. Alejandro, and I need to bring key. Alright, that's what I'll do. Alright, Alejandro, while you are on top, this token. Actually, no, I can't use. Can I give you the sheet? No, I can't because I haven't put the name collection on it yet. Well, I'm not doing that. So, you will see. This person coming out of the room. coming out of the back door.
Okay.
And you'll also see him talking to this person here.
Ooh.
Okay.
Now, these two people need to make a roll. But it's going to be at... And actually, it's going to be... With all the effort you've done to actually put in a costume on for stream, I'm making an extreme success on Spot Hidden.
Yeah,
I got to reward the effort somehow.
you do. I love it.
Yep. And character sheet, stream on their Spot Hidden.
Oh.
Okay.
Alright.
And although I saw that, did everyone else see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ooh.
Well, with that, I think we'll end, and
With that-
see how that goes next week.
Yes, that's where we'll leave it.
How's it? Okay. How's it extreme success if it's 11 out of 13? I mean,
Because
Oh, no, it's
13
rolling
is-
against it, so it would not be 5 times. It would be 65 is his spot hidden, and he
Okay,
rolled an 11 against that 65.
Just to show you what they're... See, 69.
oh, okay.
So,
Oh.
yeah, just to show you. Yeah, okay. All right, that puts a couple of wrinkles in things.
Yeah.
Yeah, do.
Absolutely, that's half the fun.
Yep.
so you
Yikes.
can,
Enjoy.
you can actually set up the sheets to be normal, hard, or extreme success, or verbose reports out.
Yeah.
That's what that was the result of. And yeah, that kind of happened, and will be happening, and we'll figure that out next week.
This is
Yep.
fine.
Possibly after the mad doctor talk, and possibly after meeting elsewhere. It's going to be a whole interesting thing.
I like to think that really just the nurse actually got there early. In fact, got to the bar early instead of late. Everyone else is late because they're getting busted.
Mm-hmm.
That's if we even turn up there.
Ooh,
Yeah,
so true.
yeah, exactly.
Just the
that.
nurse sitting at the bar drinking gin. This is fine. We're fine.
I mean, Sydney's currently fine. She's calling a lawyer. That's literally the extent of her day. Sydney just gets to go to the bar, and she'll be the one holding the table and wondering where the hell everybody else is.
Well, Eon, time for your outro.
Oh. Hello! I have been playing Sidney Tyson, your mob boss archaeologist, not long for this world individual, who has been having a lot of fun causing chaos for the Keeper, but sadly, I've done the least chaos this round.
Oh, yeah. That was... And I gave
Like,
you a
all I
massive
did was
advantage
argue
on
with
that.
the police officer.
Yeah.
But if you want to see more of me, you can either find me here on Goblin Cave TV, or you can find me over at Eon Victory on Twitch, where I stream on Wednesday evenings Mountain Standard Time. What time? Well, we'll leave that up in the air due to the fact that this is like my third job, so, see you there?
At random times. If you follow and subscribe and all that, you'll get notifications.
Yeah.
Maybe when you go live. Phoenix.
I might eventually open a Twitter.
There-
I am Phoenix. I have been playing Alejandro Garcia, our shipping mogul who moonlights as a ninja on the side now. We'll see how long he moonlights as a ninja, if it's a very short career path. Find out next week. You can find me here or not at all. So good luck with that.
Okay. Say Caitlin.
Oh, yes, it's me. My name is Kat. I am the proprietor of CestCaitlin. the Twitch channel / YouTube channel / Twitter, whatever. I do a lot. Or technically I do nothing. It depends on who you ask.
Also
I
true.
stream. I stream sometimes. I am a mess often, and I'm always here to be Aveline Baker, your doctor and not very good confidant.
Okay. Molgars?
Hello, I'm Molly or Molgars. You can find me here streaming at Goblin TV or at tumblr.com at Molgars. Or at Please Send Cash on Twitter. I don't really stream.
Okay. MrLiveProducer?
Hello, I'm MrLiveProducer. I have been your keeper for this evening. And yeah, that went places I did not expect it to go. But I
Isn't
loved
that
every
normal?
minute of it. No, sometimes you actually do what you're told. And then you go completely off the rails, which I love. Yes, you can usually catch me here on Wednesdays and Thursday mornings. Thursdays I am in Saints and Sinners, or this weekend, this week, it's actually circus game, Circus of the Broken Chain, where I play your little cute pug that does fire twirling. And you can also catch me at twitch.tv/MrLiveProducer, where I do VR content, retro game content, and actually might stream this weekend because I actually don't have work this weekend. Hey, I know. A weekend off.
Hey,
And then
it's
I've
about to happen.
Oh, problem is, I have 4 events next weekend.
There it
Less
is.
fun, but good money. Money is good. And hi, my name is Karsh Goblin. I've been playing Jack Hunt. I'm loving this. The chaos. I'm really super sorry about that Juju comment. Yeah, but loving the game. It's kind of weird. It's just we're progressing. It's great. Loving the audio. Speaking of the audio, we are going to be raiding Syrinscape. They are doing the 3rd episode of their own Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Ooh.
So that's really cool. And thank you for the donations today. Thank you for the gift subscriptions. For the redemptions and Eon was. Am I right by saying Sidney started today with 7 luck?
Yes.
Yes.
She now has 37 luck.
Yeah. That's a big. That's just
That's a
from today.
massive jump.
Just from the support that we've had today. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you guys very much. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. And tomorrow is Circus of the Broken Chain, where our party is taking on some old friends called Record Demons. Which sound as bad as the name implies. And so that's happening tomorrow, and we've also got our YouTube channel and all the other bits and pieces. So Goblin Cave TV. We've also got Discord. Our raid message as well is we come to share the love. Our hearts are warm and fresh. If you're a member of the channel, the Goblin Hearts. If you're not, don't worry about the Goblin Hearts. But that's that. But on that, I'm heading off, and we'll have our credits roll, and that's about it. So bye.
Bye.
At night I only dream of you out there.